Welcome to this week's Sister Scoop, where we are going through big Marvel news, and there's huge Marvel news this week to talk about. Although I guess it's not really Marvel more than like cast for the most part. It's kind of like not really about the MCU. But let's start with giving Tom and Zendaya a huge congratulations. They are officially engaged.
I know, this is so exciting. Our Peter and MJ are engaged in real life. She showed off what seemed to be an engagement ring, and now it's confirmed. Her engagement ring at the Golden Globes this weekend. So congratulations to the happy couple. If you're anything like me, you're also a little bit sad because it means our dear Tom is off the market. But more than anything, just congratulations. I think there might be our first MCU couple that got engaged. That met in the MCU and then got engaged.
I think you're right. I would think that's correct. They aren't the first Peter and MJ or Peter and love interest to date, but they are the first to be successful there as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a rumor going around that Amy Pascal told them, when she found out they started, or even I think when they were cast, before they even started dating, don't do it. I've watched it happen twice. And guys, Amy Pascal's the Kevin Feige of Sony. So, or for the Sony Spider-Man universe. So she basically told them, I've seen it crash and burn twice. You might not want to, but I guess third time's the charm, right? So here they go on their way down the aisle. I think, honestly, I don't think it's really that surprising. They seem like they have such a really healthy and respectful and loving relationship. So I'm just happy for the couple.
I'm happy too. I will say, if we turn it into a little bit of the MCU side of it, I'm a little intrigued to see if it impacts now bringing MJ back, because I know that's something we were talking about. So I am a little interested to see if there's going to see now life imitating art more than art, or no,
art imitating life.
Yes, the other way. But you understood what I meant. It started before, when they weren't together. It was art imitating. No,
it was whatever. Life imitating art. Girl, you are struggling.
You know what? I've had the world's longest day. We all understand what I'm trying to say. Either way, I am kind of curious to see if that's what ends up happening. And they're kind of like, well, now we would like to write her more into this again. I don't know. That's going to just have to be something we see. But I am very happy for them. They seem to have a very, like you said, healthy, happy relationship together. And if they're our first Marvel couple that's made it, that's even better.
I know there are other Marvel couples, but I don't think they met in the MCU. And so congrats to them on so many levels, and excited to see, the wedding whenever it happens. It sounds like they're not rushing down the aisle, but whenever that happens, we'll cover that too.
That's news to me, but I guess we will. Okay.
Sister Scoop that they got married.
Oh, what? I was we're live covering this wedding?
We're not live covering Tom and Zendaya's wedding.
I was oh, okay.
Unless we get invited, we make it big between now and then, and we befriend them and we get invited. In which case,
for sure,
we would be posting from the wedding, but we're putting that out there for manifestation purposes.
I was gonna say manifestations. That's all that matters. All right, on to news for another cast member, and one that is so dear to my heart, and I have shed tears over. Sebastian Stan, congratulations for your very first Golden Globe. He deserved it. I haven't had a chance to actually watch the movie, unfortunately, that he's won it for, but we've seen this man act in the MCU. If you guys have ever gotten a chance to see anything else he's in, especially more in the more recent years, he was in some, as somebody who's watched almost his entire thing, some of the weird stuff when he's a little younger, it happens. You gotta build your career. But especially some of the more recent stuff, he is an incredible actor, and he really deserves all the recognition he's been getting. I love this man. I am so proud of him. It's not even funny.
And to add an extra layer to the cake, his Captain America counterpart, Anthony Mackie, was at the Golden Globes and managed to break into or crash pretty much all of his interviews after he won, in a show of brotherly love between the two. The bromance is still strong, and you'll love to see it. And I think it was just sweet, to have his co-star. They've done so much together. I mean, there's only really one movie that Seb was in without Mackie. And so his entire MCU career, minus the first Avenger, is with Mackie by his side. closer and closer to his side. Now they're obviously splitting up again, which is sad. But, you love to see the friendship on and off the screen, and the interviews are hilarious. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check them out, 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah, it was so good to see those two together again.
Yeah.
It has been a little while. I'm a little sad. I think we were all a little sad that and we don't know this for sure, but that there doesn't seem to be any Bucky in the fourth cap, especially considering where the Falcon and Winter Soldier ended. I think everybody was a little like, okay, what does that mean?
That was a choice.
But maybe he will be in it for a little bit to help explain like where they go their separate ways. But regardless, it's been a while since the bromance has been on the big screen and off the big screen for us to enjoy. So it was great. It was great to see that Mackie was there to support him then as well. And it was just awesome. And I like I said, I'm just so proud of Sebastian. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night. And Zoe Saldana as well. She won for, I believe, Emilia Perez. I'm sure there were other Marvel winners, but those were the two big ones that I saw. So congrats to our Gamora as well. We didn't want to leave her out because I think that was her first as well. So congrats to those two.
But Sebastian.
We know where Katie's focus was. And honestly, like, I love the bromance, so, like, yes, but didn't want to leave Zoe out either.
Yes, of course. On to the last thing that actually, while still cast-related, does affect the MCU and is probably not Taylor's favorite topic. Talks about the recasting of T'Challa are starting to happen officially. And now I don't think this is all that shocking, not to like put a timestamp to be like, oh, because everybody moves on after a certain amount of time, but it's going to be coming up on 5 years this year since the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And I mean, I think the fandom was pretty split for a long time. I think as time goes on, more and more people are asking for a recast. I think that's been more of what I've been seeing, of people being like, okay, but this character, we want to see this character, and he's been sidelined because of obviously off-screen circumstances you can't undo. It seems like the studio might now actually be considering doing that.
Yeah, I'm going to try to formulate my thoughts in like a cohesive manner because there are like a lot of feelings. And if you guys, have been following the show for any length of time, y'all know I really truly love the Black Panther franchise. And I very rarely get through talking about anything related to the franchise without tearing up. Like I'm already starting.
I was like looking at you and I was like, oh, she's going already.
I really was like, no, you're going to be objective about this. But like, here we go. The waterworks. But I do want to lay out some facts and then I'll talk a little bit about my feelings. Some of the things that were saying in the report, or that were said in the report, were that they're talking about bringing him in a multiversal way, which is something that you and I talked about, even going into Wakanda Forever, that was something that felt respectful to Chadwick and his legacy, because you're not recasting the 616 T'Challa, but allowed kind of that backdoor way to recast. So if that's the way that they move forward, I can allow that, because again, you're not directly replacing like Rhodey from Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 2. It's a very different circumstance, and you're not just pretending that it's like suddenly not a new guy.
Yeah.
One interesting piece that was an update was that someone may have already been given the role or given the opportunity to have the role and actually said no because they didn't want to follow in Chadwick's footsteps, and they felt like it was too big a role to fill because of the legacy that he left, which is so fascinating because I think that's something that a lot of people have been talking about, is like he has personified, T'Challa, and even in death, I think it's almost become mythical because he's not able to continue playing that character, and in some ways he died as that character, if that makes sense. And so I think that's also very, very interesting. Then the one thing that they did say is that Coogler, the director of both Black Panther 1 and 2, Ryan Coogler, will be, in part of the conversation about who will be recast and in conversation with the Boseman family. So it sounds like they're trying to do it, again, really respectfully to Chadwick and his legacy and the loved ones that obviously mourn him every day. I mean, we mourn him as an actor, but for his family, that's a loss that is irreparable. The one other thing I want to talk about that I thought was interesting was they talked about how it could be that they're the Black Panther, maybe for Doomsday and Secret Wars, if that's how they come in or something like that, but that they would be the Black Panther for Black Panther 3. And that's where I start to get a little frustrated, I think, because to me, we already have a Black Panther and her name is Shuri. And that is what was set up in Black Panther 2. And I think she did a great job. Letitia Wright did a great job. And I would like to see her get a shake at a film, not where she's becoming the Black Panther or fighting the things that she fought, because she really wasn't the Black Panther for the full film. I want to see her get her own film as Black Panther. I want to see her and, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name, and he is like so wonderful.
M'Baku.
I was like, Winston Duke's character. Why can't I think of his name? Her and M'Baku like splitting the King Black Panther role and doing things like that. So there is a part of me that's like, whoa, slow your roll. Like, fine, multiversal, but you've already named a Black Panther. You've already named a new T'Challa, technically, and his son, which we all thought with a time jump would then take on being T'Challa. So I don't know necessarily why you need a T'Challa now if you're going to do a time jump. Maybe they don't, and that's why they feel like they need it. But yeah, so that was a lot. But I'm also like very much processing. I just saw this news this morning and I've been thinking about it a lot all day, but I'm still trying to like formulate a coherent set of thoughts, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have the time to get too into my thoughts on any of that.
Sorry.
I will just say it's fine. I will just say to your last thought specifically, I don't think it's right, to your point, to kind of bring this other character in, especially for the trilogy. I think if you finish the trilogy, great. If you want to do another one like Thor style or whatever else, or Cap, actually, it'd be Cap style. Do it Cap style. That's fine. Yeah. Finish it out with his sister and whatever they do with his child, fine. But then move on, bring in the other one. That's fine. Whatever. We can make that work. I just think for this trilogy, especially it being the trilogy that Chadwick started, I don't think that's right. I
agree.
think that's where you kind of start to tarnish legacy a little bit. But especially because they were so careful, I think, in the second one to tell the story so tastefully, and how, the characters themselves are mourning the death of their king. So I think to then switch it up, I also think it would seriously impact the franchise. Like, I think it would, and listen, the third one could be trash to begin with. You never know. But like, so far, even with everything that's had to happen, the second movie is still just as good. So I think like you run that risk already trying to finish a trilogy, let alone you're now going to essentially, that's when you do recast T'Challa. I don't know. But like I said, I don't really have too much time to go in and all that. We've run over. But this has been this week's Sister Scoop. We will be back next week with more news and maybe another update on this, because this is going to be kind of news as we get more confirmations here and there. So we might have some new things coming up. We'll see. But we will be back next week with more Marvel news. And make sure you guys are also keeping up with the podcast as well. See you guys next week.